Chapter 2, Effect of Thought on Circumstances, from the book As a Human Thinketh by James Allen. So let us quickly proceed and sit in meditation for a minute. O hidden life, vibrant in every atom. O hidden light, shining in every creature. O hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May each who feels himself as one with thee know he's also one with every other. Come back, everyone. Thank you for joining. Our speaker for the day is Sister Gomathi. She is a postgraduate in commerce with work experience of over 26 years. She is a certified NLP practitioner whose indomitable positive approach of life and love for people inspires the participants to change from within. She believes in holistic living, taking care of all the dimensions of existence. She has conducted training programs for people across various industries such as Reagan Power Tech, dentistry, Stella Maris College, SRM University, and the list goes on. I request Sister Gomathi to deliver her talk. Over to you, sister. You are not audible.
Thank you, Kritika. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so good morning, everyone. So thank you for this opportunity. I am just beginning to share my slide. Yeah, so As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, As a Human Thinketh is what we are more interested in calling this book as, by James Allen, born in 1864, exactly 100 years before I was born. So, and he lived for 47 years and passed away in the year 1912, but he has written umpteen number of books. This is the first experience of me reading his books, the first one. And these are the chapters. So today we will dwell on the first one, thought and character, and part of the next one, that is effect of thought and on circumstances. So here he says that this little volume, he calls it a little volume, although I feel it has got larger depth in meaning and understanding, is a result of meditation and experience, is what he says. And he says it is not intended as an exhaustive treatise on the much written upon subject on the power of thought. It is a suggestive rather than explanatory, its object being to stimulate men and women to the discovery and the perception of the truth. So let us see what the truth can be. Let us explore further. Yeah, so in his foreword, he says, human means the mind, man means the mind, and mind is the master, which is capable of molding. So either the mind is capable of molding itself, or it is also capable of making and marring itself. So this is what he says. Mind is the master power that molds and makes, and man is mind. And evermore he takes the tool of thought and shaping what he wills, brings forth 1,000 joys. So when he's bringing forth 1,000 joys, he's making something, producing something, and 1,000 ills as well. So that is what marring is all about. So he's capable of both, the duality of life that exists. He thinks in secret, he says. So all the thinking happens, most of the thinking happens secretly. So this is the crux of the book. Going further, yeah, and his environment, that is his circumstance that he calls, is, he says it is the looking glass. So whether our looking glass is our own spectacle or our looking glass is our own camera, we zoom in, we zoom out, or the way we see, the way we perceive, and of course the lens that we use. Either we make small things big or big things small. It is entirely in our hands. And the truth that we saw on the first slide is about mentioning that they themselves, that is men themselves, are makers of themselves. So this is what he is trying to say in this book. So mankind makes themselves. They are capable of making themselves. No external faculty is needed. Going further, yeah, this is a beautiful, there are a lot of comparisons in the book is what I found. I thought this made it understand even more simpler. So mind, the master weaver, he calls the mind the master weaver, both of the inner garment of character, which is the first chapter, that is thought and character, and the outer garment of circumstance, that is effects of thought on our circumstance, which is the second chapter. And he goes on to say, sorry. Yeah, so man is the master weaver of his own life. So, yeah, so both the inner garment of character, and he's a master weaver who can weave in enlightenment and happiness instead of ignorance and pain, which we were hitherto doing. Like we were weaving in ignorance and pain is what is mentioned in the book. And now we can weave in enlightenment and happiness with the knowledge that is available in the book. Going further. So now we come to this first chapter. Those were the 4 words, thought and character. So there is a beautiful adage, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So again, the comparison is made of the seed. As a plant springs from the seed, every act of man springs from the hidden seeds of thought, and could not have appeared without them. So without thought, action is not possible. Applies equally to the acts which are unpremeditated and premeditated. So unpremeditated meaning the actions which are spontaneous, immediate. Sometimes we even say thoughtless acts. So those acts are also with a lot of thought is what is mentioned in the book. That is unpremeditated, and premeditated, that means deliberate planning and execution. So both spontaneous and deliberate planning and execution, both these acts, it applies equally. So it springs from the hidden seeds of, so every act, whether spontaneous or deliberately executed, springs from the hidden seeds of thought is what he mentions in the book. An act is the blossom of thought, and joy and suffering are its fruits. Thus man garners in the sweet and bitter fruitage of his own husbandry. So there was a lot of realization when I was going through the book, how much I felt, as in experience, how much I neglected my own thought, how much we need to really take care of our thoughts. All that was a great learning when I was going through this book. The famous adage, as they say, as a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. So this is the first point about the thought and character, the first chapter of the book. Going further, so this was also a very great learning. He says, if a man's mind has evil thoughts, pain comes on him as comes the wheel behind the ox. So in this picture, as we see the wheel, the big wheel behind the ox. So he is relating this wheel to the pain and the mind, the evil thoughts, as the ox. So if a man's mind has evil thoughts, pain comes on him as comes the wheel behind the ox. And if one endures in purity of thought, joy follows him as his own shadow. And he says that is for sure. So there is a lot of learning for all of us over here. So how do we garner our thoughts? How do we harness our thoughts? So great learning for all of us. And when we see the ox with the wheel, it seems to be quite heavy. The wheel itself looks so big, and it brings a lot of heaviness in our mind. So why do we keep those unresourceful thoughts? Instead, when we look at the shadow, it is almost lightweight, isn't it? So I was just relating and thinking about what could be the deeper meaning in these two pictures and these two statements. So we can become even lighter than our own weight, lighter than our own self, when we have purity of thought, and joy follows as our own shadow. That was a great learning. Going further, so he says man is growth by law and not a creation by artifice, that is by some clever trick or anything like that. It is not like that. And cause and effect is as absolute and undeviating in the hidden realm of thought as in the world of visible and material things, as in the world of tangible things. So man is growth by law. So as theosophist members, and we understand this even better. It is easy for us to understand because we are all evolving beings. So by law, we are all on the growth path. So we are all at different phases of our growth. So, and we are not a creation by any artificial trick or anything like that, or by some clever trick, not at all. And cause and effect. So we realize the laws of nature. We realize the principles of nature. So one of the principles being for the cause and the effect criteria of living. So, and it is absolute and undeviating. That is what is mentioned in the book. As we go further, he also compares, our own thought with weapons of construction as well as weapons for destruction. So he says, by right choice and true application of thought, man can ascend to the divine perfection. So it is possible by right choice of and application of rightful thinking. But on the other hand, by abuse and wrong application of thought, humans descend below the level of the beast. So a weapon can be used for constructive purpose as well as for destructive purpose. So it is all in our hands is what is mentioned in the book. So most of it is appearing in duality, like there is a choice. So mankind has a choice. So that is what this book is. The first chapter is dwelling completely upon was my realization. Going further, so this was also a great learning. Man is always the master, he says, even in his weaker and most abandoned state. But in his weakness and degradation, he is a foolish master who misgoverns his own household. On the other hand, when man begins to reflect upon his condition and searches diligently for the law upon which his being is established, he then becomes the wise master or the conscious master. So man is capable of both being a foolish master as well as a wise master. I think I could share an experience over here, like how foolish I was. This happened about 25 years ago, probably even more than that. I was new to the bank, and then I had come on transfer to Chennai from Mumbai, and I had made some friends in the bank. So this girl, she became a very close friend of mine, and she stayed close to my house, and we became very thick friends. So on Diwali day, I had invited her home, and she came home. And when she left, I had given her some sweets and some savories, which I had prepared for Diwali, and she took it in the cover. And as she left, I also had to lock the door, and I had to go out because I had relatives coming in. I had to go and pick them up from the station. So she didn't know that I was following her behind. I just locked the door, and I was just about 10 to 15 feet away from her. She was walking ahead. What I saw then was that packet of sweets and savories She handed it over to a beggar as she crossed her street. She gave it and she went past. The moment I saw that, I felt so upset. I felt so hurt. Oh my God. And my heart sank. I said, oh my God, she's my friend. And I made these sweets. I made these savories and I gave it to her. And she's giving it to somebody else. She's not even taking it home. She's not even bothered to taste it. And she's just handed it over there. So I felt that point of time, it was so hurtful that after that, I started avoiding her. I wouldn't talk with her. I started, oh no, she doesn't like me probably. So many thoughts flooded my mind. And I said, no, she is not my friend. She is not a true friend. So I decided and I came to the conclusion, what a wrong judgment it must have been on my part. But when I think back, and that intensity was very high. And I wanted to cut off my friendship also with her. See, I didn't want that friendship. And how can she do this to me? So that was a feeling. But then later on, as years passed by, I lost touch with her. I got transferred to another branch and I couldn't contact her. And she would all the time call me and try to ask how I was, could we meet? And I would always avoid her. But I never mentioned to her about this incident at all, that I saw her, giving away the packet of sweets to another person. But then she must have also been wondering what happened to Gomathi, like why is she behaving like this? But never did I make it clear that I didn't even communicate to her that I have felt very hurt. And this carried on. This carried on in my life for quite a long time. How much I was holding on to those emotions. Later on, when I after becoming from a foolish master, maybe on the progress of growth, when I started becoming more wise, and the intensity of that hurt also started reducing automatically. It took a long time for me to get to terms with that particular incident of that behavior of hers. And when I regained some of the maturity probably later on in life, and I realized that once I gave the packet to her, it is hers, and then she has every right to do whatever she wants with that packet. So that realization, probably it came quite late in life, and then I contacted her again, and then I started mingling with her again. And then she was like quite shocked and surprised that suddenly Gomathi cut out, and then now she's coming back. She must have felt, but then now, of course, we are friends, but not as thick as we used to be. But that is what, one thought and one action, probably for her it must have been probably why she did that, only she knows. I wouldn't know that. But when I look back and look at my judgment of that behavior, of that act, how negatively I had thought about it. So how foolish I had been. I lost that part, major years of our friendship in those initial years when I came on transfer to Chennai. But she is the same, that. So that kind of a guilt feeling also I had. Probably I should have understood her more better. She only knows why she did what she did. So who am I to judge her? So that kind of a realization came in much later in my life. So this is a small incident which I wanted to share, how foolish master I had been. So going further, yeah. So only by, again, another beautiful comparison he has given here. Only by much searching and mining are gold and diamonds obtained, and man can find every truth connected with his being if he will dig deep into the mine of his soul. So the word soul appears here in the book for the first time. So just as, it takes, years or probably many years to dig deeper to get the gold and the diamond from the ground, from the mother earth. Similarly, only if we are able to dig deeper and deeper into the mine of the soul, probably soul of the self and probably soul of others, we will find the truth. And the truth is in the pure soul. The soul is always pure. So when we come into, the realization was for me, like, I started thinking probably when we are more into body consciousness or probably even mind consciousness, we get into, automatically into a lot of negativity, negative thoughts probably, or even unresourceful thoughts was a great learning for me. So if we are able to dig deeper and deeper, the body and the mind, probably mind is still subtle. Body is of course gross, But if we are able to go beyond the body and probably even beyond the mind, because most of the time, our mind is like a monkey, sort of, it scatters, it helter skelter, it goes, to control the mind becomes a little bit challenging sometimes. For me, as an experience, I'm sharing this. But when we dig deeper into the mind of the soul, that is where the real jewel is. That was a great realization for me as I went through this book. So he says that he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh, it shall be opened. So that was also a very great learning. And here he also mentioned, and I will read it out, uh, that he is the maker of his character, the molder of his life, and the builder of his destiny. He may unerringly prove if he will watch, control, and alter his thoughts, tracing their effects upon himself, upon others, and upon his life and circumstances, linking the cause and effect by patient practice and investigation, and utilizing his every experience, even to the most trivial. So what I shared with you must have been a very trivial experience which I had with my friend, but yet it was quite a big one in everyday occurrence, even as a means of obtaining that knowledge of himself, which is understanding, wisdom, and power. So he says, only by watching our thoughts, controlling our thoughts, and then even altering our thoughts, can we, move forward in progression of attaining some understanding, wisdom, and power in our life. So that is where he says that he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh, it shall be opened. For only by patience, practice, and ceaseless importunity, persistence, can a man enter the door of the temple of knowledge. So I find, even though I'm introduced to theosophy just recently, there is tremendous knowledge. It is a temple of knowledge, is my realization, because most of what is discussed over here, where I experience some of the lectures, is absolutely new to me, and I'm learning day by day, is what I realized. Going further, now we come to the second chapter. So that was the first chapter about thought and character. So just to summarize about thought and character, the comparison made between our thought and the seed, then the comparison made between thought and the weapons that we use for construction or destruction purpose that we use, or the comparison of thought with our own, the mining field, like how we get into gold and how we discover gold and diamond by digging deeper and deeper. Similarly, by digging deep into the soul, we will find the truth, the ultimate truth. So these are some of the comparisons that we found in thought and character in that particular chapter, which was quite enlightening, I should say. Now we come on to the second chapter, effect of thought on circumstances. So here, this is also a beautiful comparison. So he says, and I will read it out, man's mind may be likened to a garden. So just as in the chapter thought and character, he says man is the master weaver. Here on the thought and circumstances, he says man is the master gardener. So it can be likened, man's mind can be likened to the garden, which may be intelligently cultivated or allowed to run wild, but whether cultivated or neglected, it must and will bring forth. If no useful seeds are put into it, then an abundance of useless weed seeds will fall therein and will continue to produce their kind. So again, the comparison between a beautiful garden and weeds. We don't want the unresourceful weeds. We want the resourceful garden for ourselves. So just as the gardener cultivates, so beautifully, he compares our mind to the garden. Just as a gardener cultivates his plot, keeping it free from weeds and growing the flowers and fruits which he requires, so may a man tend the garden of his mind, weeding out all the wrong, useless, and impure thoughts and cultivating toward perfection the flowers and fruits of right, useful, and pure thoughts. By pursuing this process, a man sooner or later discovers that He is the master gardener of his soul, the director of his life. So beautiful. One cannot, put it out in a more effective way than this is what I feel. And he also reveals within himself the laws of thought and understands with ever increasing accuracy how the thought forces and mind elements operate in the shaping of his character, circumstances, and destiny. So great learning, over here, comparison of our own thought with that of a garden, a beautiful garden, sans the weeds. Going further, yeah, he says thought and character are one. Now the link comes between the character and the circumstance, and as character can only manifest and discover itself through environment and circumstance. So this is very important for us. So here is the link between the character and the circumstance. So the inner character and the outer circumstance. So there is a direct link. So it is the inner character that brings out our outer circumstance is what he feels, what he says in the book. Circumstance meaning our environment. We create our environment or probably even our surrounding. Whatever happens outside of us is our own creation and which directly has a link between our own inner thoughts. That forms our character because character and thoughts are one, he says over here in the book. A very powerful statement. So circumstance does not make a man. This again is a very powerful statement. I think I really need to ponder over this for better understanding. And if we can have a discussion on this, it will be more enlightening. Circumstance does not make a man. It reveals him to himself, he says. Men do not attract that which they want, but that which they are. In fact, I was under the understanding that we can attract, what which we want through our own positive vibes or positive vibration. If we keep on thinking of what we want, we will attract it. That was my thinking. But here he goes on to say that we do not attract what we want, but that which we are. So we attract what we are. There is so much of depth, in this particular statement I felt. And there is a lot of evolving to happen, was my realization when I went through these lines. Humans can improve. The best part is the humans can improve their circumstances by improving themselves. So constant, consistent improvement, if we can show, on especially our thoughts and our feelings, probably we can. And man is a reflection of himself. Like the tree, the reflection is seen on the water. We are nothing but our own mirror. So we mirror ourselves. So our circumstances, for our circumstances, we alone are responsible, was a great learning over here. So he says, every man is where he is by the law of his being. The thoughts which he has built into his character have brought him there. And in the arrangement of his life, there is no element of chance, he says. So generally in life, we give so much importance to chance, but there is nothing, no element of chance over here. But everything is a result of a law which cannot err. It simply cannot err, he says in this book. And this is just as true of those who feel out of harmony with their surroundings as of those who are contented with them. So as a progressive and evolving being, man is where he is, that he may learn, that he may grow. And as he learns the spiritual lesson which any circumstance contains for him, it passes away and gives place to other circumstances. So man is a creator of his or her own circumstance. That was a great learning for me. And he goes on to say, man is buffeted by circumstances so long as he believes himself to be the creature of outside conditions. But when he realizes that he is a creative power and that he may command the hidden soil and seeds of his being out of which circumstance grow, he then becomes a rightful master of himself. So taking responsibility for one's own thoughts, and one's own actions as a result of that thought being produced inside us. So one can become, humans can become the rightful master of himself or herself. That was a great learning for me, having the connection between thought and circumstance. So with that, I end my session. Thank you so much. I will stop sharing the screen. So probably we can discuss.
Thank you so much, Sister Gomathi. I think
you.
without saying anything, I would like to open the forum because um, a discussion would be really nice because the thoughts you have put on. So I really want to discuss and further create some better understanding. I can already see Shikhar sir showing a thumbs up.
Yeah, and also the clapping.
So whosoever wants to come forward and okay, Surlina auntie is raising hand.
Yeah, before I share some of my thoughts, I would congratulate Madam Gomathi. She's such a flawless speaker. The good part about her is she's so natural. She's naturally coming up with her own examples. When she says, no, I'm a new member, I don't know anything, I'm learning. When you are nothing, you are everything, you know.
Yeah, I saw your quote today morning also. So there is more to learn, if we have nothing to unlearn.
Yes. And, I think 2-3 days back, while Kritika was discussing with me about some of her talks, she's going to present in 1 or 2 days. I don't know what is the date. We were just struggling about, problems of youth. Shikharji would be knowing that, there is a discussion going around for problems of youth and all. So one point in time, I had asked Kritika to, watch an advertisement in the television. I don't know for which brand it was, but there was Tapasi Pannu. Tapasi Pannu is the name, right? Correct me. Okay. So she was saying, at times there will be people around you who would say you something which you are not. And I think, besides that, what people think on their own, besides that, there is a huge struggle within us that I'm not this, but Shikhar is thinking I'm this. And then I'm gone forever. I created that circumstance. Actually, people are on their own. People are doing something different. But the moment I drag it on my own self, there is a little bit of selfishness also in that, what the other person is thinking about me, and I'm, sticking to that. And I'm so holding it tightly that I'm not, it's like a shackle. I'm being bonded. I'm not coming out of that. Many of us are undergoing that, including me. Besides what we are not, people are saying that is a huge struggle also. And we all need to be, we need to come out of that. We have to free ourselves of that bondage. So that just clicked me when you were saying about that. No, you are sticking to the idea of what the other person did to you, why he or she did to you. I don't know. We all don't know. So intention is different, but the other way around also we are sticking to. We all need to learn. If we think that we will become, we'll attract that negativity into our life. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sister Sulina. I would like to invite the lady out of television.
Sorry for my comic presentation, but don't want my background.
Nice.
So interesting a background.
So I was very touched by that wheel and thing, which is also said by Buddha also, that every negative action is followed by, like a wheel follows the ox. Now in that you mentioned heavy and light. You said that some thoughts are heavy. So our negative thoughts can be heavy. I really liked your understanding of that. And I was thinking in my mind also, and in fact, I've been thinking for morning this thought, that like Helena Blavatsky and Annie Besant, they had such negative persons in their lives. Blavatsky had her husband who never recognized her value, he didn't know anything about who she really was. Or Annie Besant's husband was such a negative character. I mean, in spite of those negative experiences, they did not let that become the only thing in their life. They went on to do so many things. They wrote books, they traveled, they started schools and so many centers, and they were applauded and all over the world. So what I was thinking is that when we have negative experiences in life, we have a choice to think about it all the time, or to say that it's over, I have learned my lesson, let me not delve on that. It's done, let me now look at new projects, let me do new things, let me develop myself in a new way. So I thought that was what I wanted to share today. But it was a wonderful presentation. And Gomti, let me tell you, anybody who comes to the Theosophical Society has come in this study in other births, because the studies are tough, and only people who are inclined to all this will stay in all this. And
True.
that is also the reason why we don't attract many members, because the inclination must be from past births.
True, Vimal. Absolutely.
Very well said.
Yeah.
Okay, I was seeing Shikhar sir was writing a few things in the chat box. So if you would like to say something.
Yes, actually, a lot of things I wanted to say. And first of all, I would like to thank Vimalji, who suggested this book. And yeah, we have been reading so many books, theosophical literature that we are known to. But I think I'm definitely, 100% sure that Mr. James Allen was influenced very deeply by the theosophical movement during his time. And the way that he has written and expressed about thoughts, we read this in all the books by any Besant or Leadbeater, but he has written it. There was one more line, no, Gomathi ji, on the cover page, that result of meditation and
Yes.
his own experience.
Yes.
So I think that's what gives his words so much of effect and depth, because it's coming straight from his experience and his heart. Because if you only speak and you don't realize it or don't follow it, then the words don't have that much effect. And hats off to you, Gomathi ji. Wonderful PPT, I would say.
Thank you.
The way that you explain so smoothly and everything, it was really, really nice. And every time we hear about this thought power thing, we keep forgetting, but it refreshes our approach to life. And the couple of things that you said, and I think noted it down also, that I wanted to share. There was a line that circumstances do not make a man, it reveals him to himself.
Yeah.
So, and men do not attract what they want, but what they are. And I think this has been a very big misunderstanding. People are like advertising, no, like some book, The Secret, that you want, whatever you want, you have the power to attract. But this is the, yeah, because otherwise everybody would say, I am poor, I want to be rich, I am suffering, I want to be happy, why am I not becoming rich, or why am I not becoming happy? Because it's not what you want, it's what you are that attracts the same. If you are full of, even if you want to be happy, but if you're full of negative thoughts, you will never be happy. So, and the circumstances which are coming to test our character. And in overcoming them, we also develop our character. And I think this is also a difference between a materialistic approach and a spiritual approach, or broadly, if you can say, like a Western approach or an Eastern approach. Because in Western science and everything, they approach from outward, that man is a result of his surroundings. But this is just the opposite, that we have made ourselves as who we are. And this also gives us no way to escape from what is happening to us. We cannot blame God. We cannot blame anyone else. We cannot blame anybody. Whatever is happening to me or whatever I am is because I have made myself like this. And but also gives a hope that I can change myself in the immediately or in the coming future, whatever is there. So very, very nice. And I'm looking forward for next coming sessions also. Thank you so much, Gomathi. Very nice presentation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Please don't call me sir. Just call me Shikhar, please.
Oh, thank you, Shikhar.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I see Sister Geeta raising hand and Sister Aban also raising hand.
Sister. Okay, Sister Geeta is
Yes.
not.
Can you hear me? I don't know.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not very tech savvy. So, two things, I wanted to reflect on this. First of all, it's a wonderful group. I never even knew existed. Thanks to my teacher, Sukumari, who put me onto this. So later I'll find out how to get into this group. Two things, they say what you write can be anything, but the meaning is in the reader's mind. 20 years back, the same book, I was in marketing, same book was, read out to us by a Chinese trainer. The take was so different, so materialistic. So I'm just comparing, my God, I said, how people can interpret.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't even have thought if I had not gone to that, I wouldn't have, believed if somebody had said, the take can be this, because I've listened to both of them. It's beautifully explained. So I want to read the book again. And second thing is about this, what you give stops with, that, and the other person has every right to do what they want to do with it. I also had this experience when I told my father when I was young that, he used to give one beggar some money. So I told him, you're wasting your money because this man, I see him, going and smoking. This man is going and drinking. So he said, you're not in his shoes. You don't know, how you can use that money. He said he doesn't have enough money probably to buy a food. So probably having a drink, makes him forget his things, or the smoke, gives him that little freedom or liberty to, enjoy life. So he said, never ever judge. He said, if you want to give from the heart and forget about it. So I really remembered my dad for that. So thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, Sister Geeta. Sister Aban, you want to say something?
Yes. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Hope you can hear me.
Yeah.
First of all, congratulations to Madam Gomathi for a wonderful talk. Very simple and yet very profound. Fit taught to the youngsters as well as to adults like us. Now, coming to the point, definitely man makes a man on Mars. I have a little doha of Kabir, which I will say. Chala nahane ko, तीर्थ चला नहाने को, मन मिला चित्त चौर, एको पाप ना उतारा, लाया मन 10 पर. I'll explain it in English. He says a person visited all places of pilgrimage, तीर्थ चला नहाने को, but mind dirty as ever, heart full of desires, did not shed ever even one, but in the bargain brought 10 more. So it is our mind and our heart, when they both work together, the results come. Even if you want to go to all the places, and why this I remember, because going to places of pilgrimage for Hajj does a lot, but when our mind as well as our heart is pure. And so this connection is always there and can never be separated. And there are times when we attract same thing what we have. If we have good intentions, if we want to do something good, automatically somebody will come and give you the book that you want to read, or person will start discussion. And it is vice versa. If our mind is not for that, you attract such math things also. So mind and heart should work together with us. So head, hand, heart and hands. When they three get together, the results will be profound. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Kritika, as usual, lovely, beautiful to look at, and hear you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Aban. I can see Taral sir. If you would like to say something, Taral sir.
सबसे पहले सभी को शुभ प्रभात, गुड मॉर्निंग। गोमती जी के बारे में क्या कहूँ, आप इस तरह से कहती हैं, you say everything as if a river is flowing, और we understand it so beautifully that the flow itself clings you. I never realized how much time has gone by today because you are explaining in such a wonderful way. Excuse my throat. So really wonderful. And Sundays morning are always good. And I am fortunate that I am back again. We have been on a long journey so far. And Vimalji, congratulations for such bravery of going on a small television, which I really liked. I think the Buddha was mentioned, और उनकी एक कहानी है जिसमें बैलगाड़ी के पहिए की बात करते हैं। तो बिल्कुल वैसा ही है कि मन ऐसा है कि अगर हम कुछ बुरा बोझ या कुछ बुरी चीज सोचकर मन पर रखें तो वो वैसे ही पीछा करती है जैसे बैलगाड़ी का पहिया उसका पीछा करता है। सो मन को मुक्त रखना, अच्छे विचारों से उसके अंदर जगह बनाना बहुत जरूरी है, और शायद थियोसॉफी हमें सबसे पहले यही सिखाती है। तो इसलिए इस किताब को आपने जो लिया है, और मैं उस समय था जब ये निर्णय लिया जा रहा था और गोमती जी आई और उन्होंने बोला कि पढ़ना है, और शिखर जी ने बोला कि बिल्कुल पढ़ सकती हैं आप। सो आई थिंक दैट वाज रियली वंडरफुल. वी आर वेरी फॉर्चुनेट टू हैव यू. थैंक यू. Thank you, Kritika.
Thank you, Taral sir. Zinu Master is also saying something.
No, he left, I think.
Oh, okay.
By miss, maybe he'll join again. Yeah.
Okay. So is there anybody else who wants to suggest anything or share something?
As we were talking, no, it's something crossed my mind. We were also mentioning about in the book about watching, controlling, and altering our thought. So when it came to altering our thought, I was reminded suddenly of our Arjuna and Lord Krishna on the Gita Upadesham that Lord Krishna gives to Arjuna in the battlefield, where Arjuna focuses his thoughts on the problem, that is, thinking of himself, my grandfather, how do I kill my brother, my uncle. So all those people who are opponents in that battlefield are his own people, and he's focusing totally on himself. So Lord Krishna enables him to alter his thought and see the larger perspective and the larger picture of things, and how he shifts that focus from being self-centered into looking at dharma, and doing something that is righteous. So that shift of character changed the circumstances of the Kurukshetra war. So something that, struck my mind as we were talking, I just wanted to share that. So alteration of thought, probably an external help is required, or for some of us, some external motivation is required. So in theosophy, I think we are all there with each other, helping each other out and trying to, watch, control, and alter our own thought, so that we become progressive and better people. So
and Gomathi ji, when you were saying no, there is some external thing is sometimes required, or sometimes we probably create an atmosphere where this external force comes to us which we want. Recent example, Kritika's morning 5 o'clock sharing with me. She probably would share that how she was undergoing one kind of emotion, and an unknown person who, without knowing what has happened to her, started saying something out of blue, and she was surprised, how come this person is giving me this piece of advice? Can you just share? And I think that's a wonderful transformation of thought, please.
Actually, I was thinking about that only. So yesterday I had a little fight with my brother and I was very angry. So then I controlled my anger and I was sad. Why did he say such things, etc., etc. But then in the evening, one of our neighbors, one uncle came and they call me Ginny. So he said, Ginny, I want to share something with you. I said, okay. He said, गुस्सा आए तो उसको ना कंट्रोल करना चाहिए, उस पे ध्यान नहीं देना चाहिए. I was like, क्या? What? The first reaction of mine was, why did you say such thing to me? Because I was so surprised that he had no idea I had a fight with my brother. I was undergoing through anger or any such emotion, and he started explaining me such wonderful things. I was like, after every 2 minutes, why did you share this with me? Why did you share this with me? So today morning I asked Sublina auntie that how can this thing happen, that I am undergoing something and some external force or some unknown person who has no idea about this thing is giving me advice on this. How come that particular moment he is sharing something which is so relatable? I mean, if this is coincidence, then wow, what a wonderful coincidence. So then she told that there is some external force who wanted to give you this message, and through him, through that uncle, that message came to you.
Yes, I think that's very true. Okay, now since we are studying so much, we cannot call it coincidence.
Yes.
But the only thing is that we are all connected. So, wherever there is a need, and it will come through somebody. Maybe you are, like many times it might have happened to many of us, like you are traveling and you are in a problem thinking of it too much, and there is a billboard of some company's advertisement, and there is a statement written there of the advertisement of that product. But suddenly you read that statement and it gives you the solution of your problem.
Very true.
Yeah, so I mean, the whole nature, that's what it's one consciousness, no? So you get, I mean, I can totally understand.
I
But
say, Kritika, that there is no surprise, no miracle, no coincidence.
So that
it is all planned. You don't know what is going to reveal where and
but
when.
this happened for the first time, so I was in awe that, and then auntie shared a story with me. So a boy was told in his school to do an experiment. There was a project given to him, so he was supposed to hug 10 random people. 10 random people. So he went to some place like a fair or something, and there he hugged 9 random people. So there was a moment it was easy to hug 9 random people, but one person was left. So while he was on his way back home, his father was driving. He suddenly asked his father to stop the car. So his father said what happened, but he didn't respond, and he ran to a random house, and he started knocking very fastly. Open the door, open the door. He knocked very hard. So a lady came after some time and opened the door and asked, why are you knocking? By the time his father had parked the car, and he also came. So the father explained the situation to that random lady, that my son was given this project to hug 10 people and 9 people.
And say that also, hug and say what? Say, repeat that as well, no? Say, hug 10 people and say that believe, trust yourself, trust in God, be happy, everything will be all right.
Everything will be all right.
Yeah.
So so his father told that he has been given this project. That child hugged that lady very tightly and said all these things. So that what was the reply of the lady? The lady said, I don't know what is this, and I don't know about this boy's project, but actually my husband has died a little while ago, and nobody came to visit me. Nobody. So all the thoughts which were going in my mind were that we know so many people, we have did so many things for so many people, but at this situation, no one has come to visit me. So I was just, I had hung a knot on my fan, and I was just standing on the stool when this boy knocked. I was about to suicide when this boy knocked and I opened the door and he hugged me so tightly that everything will be all right. You will be happy. And so she shared the story and things happen like these.
Oh.
Abanji is saying something, but
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I think in a places law of attraction also works a lot. This lady must have in her mind, when she must have got up on the stool, that she had in her mind somebody will come, and if someone comes and gives me some solace, this act will not be there. And that attraction made the boy stop this car. All of a sudden it happened, but it is not a coincidence. It had to happen, and so it happened. Similarly, they said that something problems were in his mind, but he read that particular ad when problems were solved. So these are the attraction that nature gives us. If we have a good mind to accept it, well and good. Otherwise, the flow goes on and on and on. And this is what Theosophy tells us. Thank you so much for all these words.
Thank you, ma'am. Vinayak sir, you would like to say something?
That Kritika, this is what our third principle, third object of the Theosophical Society tells us, that what is there in the nature and what we have to understand what happens. Like that examples that you gave, somebody came, and so that's an intrinsic body that gives you the message to somebody else also. We call it in Theosophical Society invisible helpers. So these invisible helpers do come. It's for us to realize when these come and how the thoughts are moved on and passed on. I can give you one more example. I don't know whether I have shared with you people or not. There was one very good lady theosophist, Veeraben Dastur. When she passed away in the night, I got a dream that I am going take care of the Keshwar. That is the Keshwar Dastur, who was the treasurer of our Theosophical Society International. In the morning, I asked my uncle that Veeraben came in my dream and she told me, she said she passed away yesterday in the night. So these are the things I was not understanding, but as we study the Theosophy, we realize that this is how the thought process is working. What we say, from one, the many are becoming, and from many, it goes back to the one. So similarity, so this is how we understand and how we have to take it forward. An excellent talk by Gomathi ji also, her example of that giving to the friend something and forgetting, that's a beautiful one, because we should not keep what is in our mind. And what we think negative about the people, always try to think positive. And if you think positive, like the example I got it, that it was given to the beggar who was drinking. But if we give it with the positive thoughts, that's what the message is conveyed. Thank you very much. It has been an excellent time.
Thank you, sir. So is there anybody who wants to give any suggestion or any comment or wants to share anything, or else we'll proceed? It's time already.
How do I join this group, please?
Please, can you give me your number, please? Just hold on. Just hold on.
Well, in between, I have a very different question. Can I ask, Gomathi ji?
Yes, sir, please.
There is a photo of or a chart behind you of an ear. So is it symbolic, or you are in the subject of?
My husband was learning acupressure, so he has brought that picture.
Acha, because in morning when we do yoga, we press some of the.
Yeah, it looks like a
the
fetus,
ear.
baby, inverted baby. So a lot of points
Yeah.
on here. So he has stuck it behind in his room. So I am in his room.
Okay. So
Yeah.
maybe you can educate us on that also sometimes. It looks
Oh.
interesting. And there is something, another chart on your left also, which seems to be a
That's
cellular.
also, yeah, that's also about acupressure only. And that is his
Wow.
passion, actually, his side of the story.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Geeta ji, can you
Yes,
tell?
sir. My number is 98866.
98866
57
57
432.
432. Okay,
Yes.
I will add you to this group, WhatsApp group, and then you can get the messages. Thank you so
sir.
much. Thank you for
Thank
joining.
you.
Wonderful. So let's proceed and let us sit in meditation and absorb all the new things or old things that has been revised. So let us sit in meditation.
Hello, Geeta ji. No.
Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kashit Dukh Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Thank you so much, Sister Gomathi, for such a wonderful presentation. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining. So let's meet next week, same place and same time. Till then, please be safe and enjoy every day of your life. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Thank